So I'm Deepak Mittal. I work with Intelligrape Software, and here's the agenda for the session. We'll discuss what is Redis. Of course, we'll look at what are the available client libraries, what are the different types of data types that Redis supports, operations that we can do on those data types, what's the kind of performance we can expect, what are the different persistence models. Most important, what are some of the sweet spots where people are, where Redis fits very nicely. I mean, in my opinion, there are certain places where nobody else solves that problem or use case so elegantly as Redis does. Then we discuss some of the design considerations, best practices, and take a look at some of the adopters, well-known adopters who are using Redis in production. So we'll also have a short demo in between, where we'll take a look at Redis commands and how we can use Redis and some sample programs. Please feel free to interrupt me in between, ask questions or clarify doubts. About me, I'm CEO of Intelligrape Software. I have something like 13 years of web development experience. My interests include tuning of web applications and also working with teams so that they are highly optimized, highly performant. Just to get an idea of the audience here, how many people are familiar with NoSQL? I mean, of course, most of you should be. Memcache, how many people have used Memcache or heard about Memcache? HashMap? Redis, has anybody used Redis? Okay, good. Anybody else used Redis or heard about Redis? Okay. So it's new to most of the people. So there are various ways we can describe Redis. I'll use different definitions that we will use. But essentially, if you take my definition, it could be, you can say, the simplest definition could be in terms of hash map, because that's the one most people have used. So think of it like a hash map which is shared over the network. So it doesn't reside in the JVM, but it resides on the network, and different JVMs, or more importantly, not even JVMs, different other programs could also interact with that. But in terms of Memcache, so it could be described as key value store, like Memcached on steroids. We'll see why on steroids. So it's an in-memory NoSQL database backed by disk. Collection of data structures exposed over the network, as I was describing earlier. Hash map exposed over the network in some way. So people who use Memcache, they know that this can store strings. Memcache can also do that, but it's not only strings, it can store complex data types as well, such as list, set, sorted set, or a hash. We call it hash. So a hash, we'll see in the further slides what hash means, but basically you can describe any object in the form of a hash. I like this definition from Salvatore Sanfilippo, who is the creator of Redis. I see Redis definitely more as a flexible tool than a solution specialized to solve a specific problem. Just like we have data structures in programming languages, sets, lists, hash map, and we have certain operations that we can do on top of them to solve our problems. So Redis could be thought of like that it has those data structures, then it allows various operations to be done on top of those data structures, and then you use it to solve your particular problem. So it's not meant at targeting at a particular problem, but it's a flexible tool. A very brief history. It was started in 2009 by Salvatore Sanfilippo. He started this in order to support his product startup by the name LLOOGG, Log. It was an analytical app. So he started Redis in order to support that product. Then he open sourced it. Then it gained popularity. VMware hired Salvatore Sanfilippo and then they had the next committer, the main committer, other main committer Peter, and then currently it is financially supported by VMware. So it doesn't have one of those problems that was referred to in the previous session, that product startups. No, I mean, this is being supported by VMware, so to speak. Some of the basic characteristics of Redis. It is single-threaded, has queryable key namespace. What does that mean? People who use Memcache, they know that it is not possible to fire a query on the keys, as in, okay, get me all the keys which match this pattern. You can't do that. You must know the name of the key. In Redis, so it allows you to search through the keys. It's extremely fast. By fast, I mean 100,000 operations per second is normal. I mean, that's not unusual at all. That's on commodity hardware. That's what I call fast. I don't know, with MySQL, what kind of speed? Few thousand. If you get few thousand operations, you must be very lucky. It's easy to install. I guess it's 200-300 KB download, no dependencies. So just download that small code and compile it yourself. You should be able to do that, except on Windows. On Windows, so you get Cygwin binaries that you can use, but on most of the other platforms, you should be able to compile it yourself. It's simple and very flexible. Stores everything in memory. I guess Memcache also does that. It doesn't have any. It doesn't store data on disk, or a hash map would also not store data on disk. But good thing about Redis is that it's backed by disk. So if for whatever reason, if you need to restart the machine, you don't have to, warm up your cache again. The data, the cache or the in-memory store is going to get populated from the data on the disk. That's one of the, if you're just comparing it with Memcache, then you can think about it from that angle, that, it is disk backed. I guess it is faster than Memcache, and it supports more data types. Written in ANSI and BSD license, which I guess means free and open. You can use it for most of your applications, all the applications. There's a list of some of the, I guess, most of the languages you will find here. If there's any language that you use is not listed here. Anybody using any language? So it has, client libraries for pretty much all the languages. Okay, now let's go into the data types, because that, I guess, is one of the important features of Redis, that it supports these data types: strings or integers, list, hash, set, sorted set. Now, important thing about the support of these data structures is that you can do most common operations that you would do on these data structures inside Redis. I'll give you an example. So there was an application in which I used to use Memcache, and we used to store the list of, we had implemented tag cloud, and we used to store the tags in Memcache. So I had like 15 tags. So I would separate them with some separator, put them in the Memcache. If I had to add a tag to the list of tags that I want to store in Memcache, what I'll have to do is I'll have to get the list from Memcache to my JVM, deserialize it, and then add an item to the list, and then serialize it back. With Redis, it has native operation for that. So you just say list.add, and that's, there's no need to get the list into the memory and then add to that. Imagine the list contains not 15 elements, 1500 elements. Starts making sense. Even from programming perspective, it's much easier. I was able to say, clearly I was able to see that wherever I replaced, I was doing this kind of operation, like 5 lines of code reduced to one single operation, which was very logical, instead of dealing with deserialization and serialization. Similarly, hashes, if you have to serialize, let's say a user object into in memcache, or so how do you do that? You'll use some form of serialization. You'll store it as JSON. If you want to modify one particular field in the user object, you are again into a problem getting the whole object back into memory, modifying that. You don't have to do that with Redis. You can just target one particular field in the user object stored in Redis. Set, similarly, sets are basically just like Java sets, so they contain unique elements. And what kind of operations you would do on set? You would add a member, you would pop a member. There's no order which is maintained. Things like that. The things that operations that you would expect on a set, they are supported. Sorted set. I don't think we have a similar data structure in Java, but very powerful. In fact, I myself see using this particular data structure a lot of the times. This is just a set, but with each element in the set, you are also storing a score associated with that member in the set. Can anybody think of some example? Some kind of data in which you would store in a sorted set? Sorry? Home directory. But that's not score. That's not score. As in let's say the name of the person is the element and the telephone number is the score. Score, as in I said both, because score is stored in a sorted set.
So platform is reviews.
Reviews, yeah. Yeah. Reviews could be something that, let's say the score could be the ratings that a review has received. So, sorry?
The tag cloud example.
Tag cloud example is, yeah. So in one of the applications, in fact that we are doing in many applications. So we are tracking visits by IP. So each IP becomes an element in the set. So we keep throwing each IP. We contain, there is a set which contains the list of IPs from where we have received requests, and we keep incrementing the value as we receive requests in the application. So we keep incrementing the score of that element. Let's say if you have Facebook and or let's say Google Plus, we have circles of friends, right? We have circles, right? I'm not a much heavy user of Google Plus, but there's a concept of circles. So let's say I have a family and friends circle. So friends could be one set, family could be another set, and you want to find out the common people in the two sets. So you just do intersection. That command, you just give it to Redis, say do me an intersection of this set and this set, and you get people who are common in both the circles. Similarly, Facebook, let's say you have a set in which you maintain list of all the online users. We do that actually in one of the applications. So we maintain a set of all the online users, and then let's say you have your friend circle, you have your set of friends, that's another set. So if you want to see friends who are online, you just do an intersection. Or your friends who have purchased Redis in Action, so you have one set, your friends, you have one set who have purchased. So if you just keep maintaining different kinds of sets, it's very easy to, and these operations are actually very fast inside Redis. So you don't have to query database, fire one query, fire another query, do some marriage, or fire a join query which you don't know when you'll get the results.
Nikhil, I have a question.
Yeah.
So one point that you mentioned was like Redis is single threaded. Now how does it deal with multiple read and write requests? So if you are doing such kind of requests, you are actually doing operations, you're intersecting things, right? You have a single thread.
Actually, that's a very good question, but I don't understand why it is able to do that. Why is it so fast? It is single threaded. I understand. They say that okay, we are single threaded, but in spite of that, it's extremely fast. But honestly, I don't know. I just know that it performs well and just works simple but I don't know why. That's an honest answer.
So what you're saying, like Node.js, it's evented IO on single thread from the Redis implementation. Because on single thread, that is the only way you can be.
But you have multiple threads. Why do you think it will be faster? Okay, let me respond that side.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so I think Node.js points you're saying that that's good for blocking applications.
Here also you're writing to this only.
Yeah, see, this writing is happening in the background. We'll come to that. So that's there is a trade-off between performance and persistence. You know, there used to be a book, very famous book, Thinking in Java. So, thinking in Redis. So we'll have to come out of the paradigm of RDBMS. Now, what is RDBMS? Lots of. So in the RDBMS world, we are always focused on values. Select star from employee where department is HR. So focus is on value of HR. Here we'll have to think in terms of keys because we cannot query the values. Is this point any clear? Like, there's no way you can fire a query on the values. You can only query the keys.
See, and you're saying that the keys can be a set. That's why it makes sense.
Keys cannot be a set. A key can contain a set.
The key can contain a set. So
Yeah. So you cannot say that, okay, get me those sets which have this as an element. Right? You cannot do that. I mean, if you have a use case like that, then you must store your data like that. And that's true with some of the other NoSQL offerings as well. That you'll have to think of the, usage, and based on that, you'll have to store your data. In RDBMS, you just store them in denormalized way, and then you think, okay, you fire all sorts of queries.
So it means there should be the unique keys.
No.
Then how you can just.
Oh, keys you should be, yeah. Sorry.
So if you're thinking in more,
Key should be good.
So it's same as hash map, right?
Yeah, it's even high, right?
Exactly.
So that's the easiest way to visualize what is Redis. So then there's no queries on values, there are no indexes, there are no schemas. No SQL, no schema, no indexes, no query on values. So these are some of the common operations that you can do on strings. Let's say if your key has string or integer as a value, then these are some of the common operations that you could do. Set key value, of course, and get key. Most common, right? You could do a multiple get or multiple set. So you can pass in multiple keys as a parameter, and then you can get values. Increment, decrement. If the key stores an integer, then you could do a increment, decrement. For example, if you're storing a counter in MySQL, you would typically say, update this val is equal to val plus 1, where id is equal to this. If you are storing that in memcache, then you'll have to again get the value into the memory, increment it, and then persist it again. TDS, not thread safe. You'll have to implement thread safety inside the application. If the application is running on multiple nodes, then it's a different problem. But you don't get into that problem with Redis. So it's an atomic operation. You just say increment, and Redis takes care of everything. So you could increment, decrement by a counter, append. These are some of the use cases they have solved beautifully as in common operations which provide you ease of usage. Now append is something, of course, you could get the key into the memory, change it and persist it back, but you could just do it in a single operation. So instead of doing one get, one set, you just say append. And get set is a similar example. So if you want to get the previous value and update it as well, then you use get set. Some steps on installation. I thought I'll have a demo after this, but I've clubbed various small demos into one big demo. So installing is very simple. You just duplicate the source, untar it, just make, and then you're good to go. Takes I mean, if you forget about the download time, it takes 10 seconds to start. So there's some comments on atomicity of commands in Redis. All the built-in commands are atomic, which basically means that different clients of Redis could be firing increment command without thinking about locking, thread safety, and things like that. Append. So append is again thread safe. So it's not that something that is written by you will be overwritten by my command. No. So they're queued. Now, if you're using Redis as a cache, there are various ways you could use Redis. But if you're using it as a cache, then one important thing that comes into picture is expiration. That's easy, as in you can set the time to live by just saying expired. You could give the number of seconds after which the key expires, or you could give a timestamp here, Unix timestamp. So it will expire it that way. Again, simple. These are some of the common operations on list. This is not complete list, but I have listed down just the common operations. The list, you could push and pop. This list is basically a linked list. So any operation that you do on the head and tail of the list are, you'll get the same performance irrespective of whether the list contains 10 elements or 10 million elements. You could get a sublist, you could set the value at a particular index, you could get the length of the list, this is the number of elements, size, you could trim, you could insert an element after a particular element. Now this is interesting, blocking pop. If you are writing, let's say you are implementing this worker pattern where let's say the Redis list contains the list of tasks that need to be done, and there are certain threads which are popping tasks of the list. Then you don't want to keep polling the list every second, pop, and you might find something, you might not find something. So blocking pop basically just waits until it gets an element. It gets an element, and you could give a timeout as well. Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure. Yeah.
So, for example, I have a site and I want a super fast login. So I put my username and encrypted passwords in the, let's say, Redis hash. Okay. Is that a good case? First of all, I think.
So you keep the
Username plus keys.
Yeah.
Hash passwords and values.
Yeah. I would probably implement it little differently. Let's say I would just set a key. Okay, you will pass on the username value. So you could keep them in strings, for example, or you could keep them as hash as well. Yeah, I mean,
so
you could do that.
Yeah, basic question is like, so when a new user is created, basically I have to make two inserts. And one is the database, which is like my normal,
right,
and one in Redis.
One in Redis, right. Right.
So in the last slide, like you showed the timeout thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, Redis does not have. I mean, I have to maintain the cache.
Yes.
Synchronicity, like it's not too stale. It doesn't refresh often, so often. That is like manual.
That's a manual thing. I mean, that key would get expired. So if you want to keep it, let's say, you could keep that value in the Redis cache for some period of time, and later on, let's say if it doesn't find in the cache, you could do the normal operation that if you don't find it in the cache, go and hit the database. You could always do that. So one note about blocking pop, that it is very easy to implement a priority based queuing system, that you could pass in more than one list here. So if there's a, let's say there are two queues of tasks. One is coming from manager and the other is coming from, let's say, my buddy, and I am implementing that in Redis. So the first, and I want to pop tasks of the list. This is a single worker. So which queue he should pop from. So you could basically pass on two lists here. So this is the manager queue and this is the buddy queue. So if there is a task in the manager queue, it will always pop from there. So the buddy could keep waiting. So it's very easy, just one command to implement priority queue pattern. If you have to implement queue in Redis, it's actually two commands: lpush, rpop. Stack. Similarly, these kinds of things you can very easily and persistible. In the morning we were discussing about that whole Notch and Scala, and they were passing on things to the actors. So we are doing a similar thing in an application where we are just giving it to Redis. The additional advantage is that it also gets persisted. And then you can remove elements from list. Set is even simpler. Okay, you can add a member to a set, you can pop a member from a set, you can get list of all the members in the set, you can intersect, union. They are very common use cases. Intersection and union. And if you want to find whether an item is a member in the set, is member, and scard basically gives you the number of elements in the set. Sorted set, same as set, the difference being that you will also pass on a score. Sorry?
They are sorted on the score.
They are sorted on the score. So if where we are keeping the list of number of hits per IP, it's very easy to find top 10 hitters. And that and when a hit comes, we simply call this command z incr by key. Key is the IP. Increment we always pass 1, and member is the key is not the IP. Key is the one single set. So we say hits by IP. So hits by IP is the key. Increment is 1 and member is the IP address. Takes less than 1 millisecond. It's very easy for us, we don't care. We're doing a lot of these statistics in an application, and I guess it takes 7 milliseconds extra for maintaining all the useful statistics that we get. We do that for every request. So the SaaS-based application, we do a lot of counters per account. So as in per account that the application has, per IP, it does get a lot of referrers. So we have to keep the number of hits per referrer as well. To do that, all happens in 7 milliseconds, and then we haven't even optimized it yet. I'll talk about that. There's certain ways you could pipeline certain commands. So Redis is, I'm jumping the gun here, but Redis has this concept of pipelining of commands. So you could just, if the next command that you're going to fire is not dependent on the output of the previous command, so you could just send in a bunch of commands